Beep, beep, beep. Welcome to the Court of the Digester. How are we, everybody? We've got a live one. Okay, so I've got something here I'm very happy with, which was written by the marvellous, wonderful, Malcolm Clark at Twister Films. This man has a encyclopedic knowledge of the history involved in our GC scrapping and collaboration. So I'm very pleased that we've got an article from Malcolm that's really worth you engaging with. In fact, anything that Malcolm produces is worth you engaging with. If you haven't been through his timeline yet to see the gems you can bookmark that will help you in getting rid of these annoying gender-addled grievance gerbils, then you're missing out. So go and have a good look at what's going on at Twister Film. I'll put a link to Malcolm's tweet down there. And also, Malcolm has a fantastic Substack, which I recommend heartily that you subscribe to. Occasionally he does special offers. And you can get it for a year for 30 quid, but you can get the whole thing for a year for 60. Malcolm has an amazing Substack, so I will again put links into that as well, so that you've got that to go and have a look at. And he's written for Spiked, okay? And the title of the document that he's written is called The Myth of the Trans Brain. Because this forever raises itself as something that's, a doable thing. It's not, it's nonsense. So it begins. The notion that you can identify a trans woman via a brain scan is based on dodgy science and misogynistic stereotypes. So let's put a good old spear into the heart of the beast that is the trans brain. One of the silliest stories the trans lobby likes to tell is that trans people have brains that are more like those of the opposite sex than of their own sex. We know this, they use it all the time. But those are some idiot this week, I'm sure it was this week, some idiot put up, I was trans in the womb. It's like, yeah, sod off. I was trans in the womb. Really? The latest cheerleader for this notion is Michael Walker from the lefty news outfit Novara Media. Now, you may know Novara Media. That's got Ash Sakar, right, Ash Sakar and her communist buddies, right? They're all nuts, but yet we still give them the time of day. Don't know why. Last week, this Michael Walker claimed on GB News that there was scientific evidence to prove that trans women have brains closer to those of females than males. Any of us that have been in the fight for any time just go, oh, no, go, oh, when this chestnut comes up again, because we know it's utter cobblers of the first order. The context for Walker's newfound interest in neurology was the decision by the Green Party to put forward Melissa Poulton as a candidate for a Midlands constituency. Melissa, aka Matt Viner, has inspired the social media hashtag bloke in a wig. Have you seen him? Dressed in a green dress with a wig on. Bloke in a wig. Which might seem cruel had Melissa not apparently tried so hard to dress up as a character from the League of Gentlemen. Swansea Edward. We're gonna make sure that women like me, and I'm a lesbian. Him, nutter. Walker's trans brain claim has a few flaws. For a start, even if it were true that trans women generally have brains that are closer to those of females, how would that prevent a non-trans male throwing on a wig and saying he is trans? This theory does nothing to solve the problem of gender self-ID being abused for any number of reasons. It's not as if political candidates have to undergo brain scans, a fact for which the Green Party should be eternally grateful. The Green Party's got form for this, do you remember? What was the name? Challoner. Go and look it up. Challoner. Yep. Deep, dark stuff. Really deep and really dark. Mad people. The claim also assumes, the claim of the trans brain, that there are male and female brains to begin with. But while there are a few recognised differences between women's and men's brains in general, such as overall size and the thickness of cortical layers, the variation among the brains of each sex are so numerous and varied that neurologists dislike the notion of typical male or female brains. It's just no, right? Walker no doubt considers himself an advocate of women's equality, but in his attempt to promote the transgender, he has ended up reinforcing outdated notions about women's biology. So where did the story of the trans brain come from? In the mid-1990s, a group of scientists at the Free University in Amsterdam announced that they had made a remarkable discovery about the brains of transsexuals. The researchers, who included Professor Lewis Goran and the wonderfully named Dick Schwab, I'll go back. The team researchers, who included Professor Lewis Goran and the wonderfully named Dick Schwab, who says nominative determinism is dead, had been studying tiny slivers of the brain taken from deceased transsexuals. How do they know? Were they still wearing their dress? Stop. When they looked under the microscope, they say they found that the volume of the central subdivision of the bed nucleus of the stria terminalis in transsexual women's brains was more like that in females than males. It was only later that critics pointed out that all the transsexuals Goran and Schwab studied had been on sex change hormones for years. Most of them for decades. There was no way to know whether the apparent similarity between the brains and those of women was caused by exposure to estrogen. Given the injections also caused them to develop breast-like tissue, why would it not have changed their brains in some way? See, this is when you mess with hormones, you mess with the real stuff, don't you? I honestly think sometimes that people don't understand how breathtakingly important hormone treatment is for women. Right? Genuinely. They don't understand it. Right? Men, get on with it. Right? Generally, we're all right. Yeah, but the need to be able to access good quality hormone treatment for women is absolutely imperative in our society. And I think people don't get that. They think you can just, give that bloke the titty skills and he'll be all right. Stop giving men estrogen that is needed by women. Stop giving men hormones that are needed by women. Stop giving anything to men who have a fetish. It drives me insane. The importance of being able to access good treatment involving things such as estrogen, testosterone, etc. by women is absolutely vital for the health. And we need to recognise that. Sorry, I got a bit off on track. Right, so here we go. So the team discoveries were absolutely flawed because of the use of estrogen. The team's discovery, which is still being cited decades later by the trans lobby and gullible left-wing journalists, has never been replicated. Despite innumerable attempts to replicate it using ever more sophisticated scanning technology, this alleged revelation seems a total one-off. This matters in science. A single lab discovery isn't considered proof of anything. It's only the start of a process by which other researchers across the world attempt to repeat the experiment in order to corroborate its findings. What do we think? What do we know? What can we prove? What do we think? What do we know? What can we prove? If a lab discovery can't be replicated, then the most common explanation is either fraud or sloppy lab techniques. There's no suggestion of these in Goran and Schwab's work. Instead, they're finding hints at a common problem in science. Unwitting bias can lead even the best of researchers to overinterpret or misinterpret their own data. For instance, in the 1900s, and at that point I'll leave it, because Malcolm's taken the time to write it, you can take the time to read it, go and see Spiked. All the links that you need are in the Dubris, all right? Come be a warrior, Come and join our Winning Mindset Warriors. Come and be a warrior. Give yourself a nice January present. Start the year off with a good intellectual kick. Other than that, buy me a coffee, all the usual. Please share and subscribe, etc. All right? I'll see you later. Well done, Malk. Thank you so much for this. It's really useful. Bye-bye.